Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are immersing ourselves in a project called Docuplay. And it's really something. It stands at this intersection of advanced tech, global education, and profound economic strategy.
It really does. This isn't just another business plan. You have to see it as a blueprint for, well, for managed positive progress and on a massive scale.
Right. So our mission today is to really get under the hood, to understand the strategic, the financial, and even the philosophical genius behind this framework, and to see why it seems structurally poised for, rapid international success.
Exactly. When you analyze Docuplay, you're looking at a convergence. It's synthesizing very high-level economic thinking. We're talking about concepts from Nobel laureate analysis of modern growth.
It emerges that with technology that's ready to go.
Ready to deploy, yes. The ambition isn't just about profit. It's about creating a whole new engine for global prosperity.
Okay, that immediately brings me to the financial engine room. We know Docuplay is planning a significant IPO, aiming for the NASDAQ.
Right, and that's very specific. It's to acquire the immediate financial muscle they need for a swift international implementation.
We need to grasp the sheer magnitude of this ambition. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Well, to set the stage, let's look at a historical benchmark. Think about Facebook's IPO back in 2012.
That was revolutionary at the time.
Completely. It hit $20 billion in first-day revenue, $100 billion capitalization. But that record-breaking success was built almost entirely on one core business.
Advertising. Monetizing user data.
Just that one thing.
And this is where Docuplay's unique proposition becomes clear. It seems deliberately designed to avoid that single-point risk.
It is. Docuplay isn't relying on one revenue stream. It's built on four massive, distinct sources of income.
Four. And these aren't concepts, right? They're fully developed businesses.
They're ready for immediate commercialization. That's the key.
So what are these four pillars?
They are the pillars of its strength. You have education, automation, reindustrialization, and then something they call completion, which is focused on biodiversity.
The financial logic there is, it's compelling.
Oh.
If one sector faces, say, economic headwinds, the others provide ballast.
Precisely. For investors, this multi-vector growth strategy, it drastically reduces systemic risk. It promises stability alongside, frankly, explosive growth potential that's far beyond what a typical tech IPO can offer.
Right, let's start with the first two. They seem to be the fundamental drivers.
Yeah.
Human and machine capital. First up, the education business. We're told this is fundamentally different from the usual MOOCs.
It is. The proposition is really elegant in its simplicity. Docuplay is committed to offering the highest quality educational content across all levels.
At the lowest possible cost.
At the lowest possible cost. It ensures that access to world-class learning is no longer a privilege. But the real uniqueness is in the philosophy behind it.
Okay, and that's inspired by this analysis from the 3 Nobel laureates in economics for 2025.
Directly inspired by it. It's built on 3 essential requirements for sustainable growth that they identified.
Let's unpack those 3 principles then. Why are they so critical for modern productivity, and how does Docuplay actually implement them?
So the first principle is openness. In an era of, information silos and a lot of ideological division, Docuplay guarantees openness.
Wow.
By sourcing content from several of the best providers globally, this avoids ideological bias and ensures true inclusiveness. It's even subsidized where necessary to reach local communities.
Which is crucial for making sure the foundation of knowledge is unbiased and accessible. What about the second principle?
That's interdisciplinarity. The big innovations today, they rarely happen inside a single field anymore. They happen at the boundaries.
Where genetics meets engineering or AI meets philosophy, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Docuplay fosters this by implementing complementary content and using these immersive metaverse environments. It trains innovators to think fluidly across different disciplines.
And the third principle, this one really speaks to the pace of change we're all facing.
Continuous or lifelong learning. Technology and AI are just moving too fast for traditional schooling to keep up.
A structural problem.
A huge one. And Docuplay addresses this head-on. They offer lifetime subscriptions at a flat, accessible rate. This ensures continuous adaptation, immediate reskilling throughout your entire professional life.
So education becomes like an operating system that's constantly updated.
Instead of a program that just ends. Yes.
That structural framework seems indispensable. Okay, now let's transition to the second pillar, automation. This involves selling groups of specialized AI agents.
Right. Agentic AI and Gen AI. They're sold to all types of companies at what Docuplay confidently calls unbeatable prices.
Let's break that down. Agentic AI and Gen AI.
Agentic AI refers to these sophisticated AI programs that can execute complex goals on their own, autonomously. Gen AI is all about creation, generating new content, designs, code. They're sold together in integrated groups to maximize efficiency.
Hold on. Unbeatable prices sounds incredibly disruptive. How is that even possible? Is it a race to the bottom, or is there some kind of proprietary advantage?
The sustainability comes from two factors. First, Docuplay controls the entire ecosystem, the knowledge, the training, the platforms. That gives it unparalleled economies of scale.
Okay, and the second factor.
And this is crucial. The material suggests Docuplay sees the automation pillar not just as a profit center, but as a mechanism, a way to accelerate adoption and drive human capital back into the other two creative pillars.
So by making AI cheap and everywhere, it forces companies to adopt it, freeing up people for higher value work.
Exactly.
But that acceleration brings up the big question, the tension in automation. Schumpeter's creative destruction. We know automation destroys old jobs.
Of course.
What does Docuplay's framework say about mitigating that destructive phase?
This is maybe the most strategic element of the entire plan. Docuplay states very explicitly that its two major creative projects, reindustrialization and the biodiversity catalog, they are designed to ensure that the creative phase of jobs and businesses will be greater than its destructive phase.
So it's not fatalism. It's managed progress. They're trying to structurally guarantee that the new jobs created will substantially exceed the ones lost.
Yes, it transforms creative destruction from this unmanaged economic upheaval into a controlled process. They're using their whole institutional design to make sure the outcome is overwhelmingly constructive.
That brings us perfectly to those two world-changing creative pillars. Let's dive into reindustrialization. It's referenced as Program 1. What does this overhaul actually look like?
Program 1 is basically a new design and manufacturing database engine. The vision is to use sophisticated Gen AI, trained on millions of files of existing knowledge.
And new material science.
And new materials science, right?
Yeah.
To generate countless new products and services, all based on novel designs and materials. The aim is to usher in a new, hyper-efficient, personalized manufacturing industry.
So we're talking about moving way beyond current models, bringing prosperity back to Western economies through IP and advanced production.
Precisely. The goal is stated very clearly, to strategically displace the current industrial structure of China.
That's a bold claim.
It is. But the plan is to power prosperity in the West by relying on innovation and the rapid application of useful knowledge, not on low labor costs. It's the practical application of that theory that innovation is the primary driver of long-term prosperity.
An immense economic proposition. Now let's turn to the final pillar, the completion, or biodiversity, business. Program 3. Why is cataloging species a commercial pillar? And why is the scope so critical?
The scope of Program 3 is just unprecedented. The material emphasizes that right now, an estimated 85% of all living species are uncatalogued.
85%. That's a staggering figure.
It is. With traditional methods, that would take centuries. Docuplay aims to complete the cataloging of that 85% in a fraction of the time.
And that represents an enormous untapped resource for humanity.
Absolutely. The expected contributions are profound, revolutionizing food production, medicine, unlocking solutions that are currently just unknown to science.
And to do this, they need global collaboration. The documents specifically mention the BRICS countries.
Yes, which cover about 40 million square kilometers. That landmass is essential for the cataloging effort.
Okay, but securing active collaboration across 40 million square kilometers, especially with the current geopolitical landscape, that sounds incredibly ambitious. How do they pull that off?
The strategy leverages shared benefit, both humanitarian and economic, by positioning the project as a moral endeavor protecting biodiversity, while also guaranteeing that the first researcher to submit data on a new profitable species benefits directly.
So you align moral duty with a very powerful economic incentive.
That shared benefit model is designed to transcend political boundaries.
And the operational strategy for gathering the data is highly innovative. It's not just scientists in labs.
Not at all. It mobilizes student excursionists globally. They use a specialized Docuplay app on their phones to submit species data, linking it back to courses within the educational platform.
So you're turning field research into this interactive, globally crowdsourced learning experience.
That's it. And the project connects to broader environmental values, too. It reinforces this ethical imperative to protect biodiversity. Plus, Docuplay integrates compensatory projects, such as generating renewable energy using what they call hydrosolar technology. This is to combat water scarcity and desertification in large, arid areas.
Could you define hydrosolar technology for our listener?
In essence, it's the large-scale use of solar power to drive desalination or advanced water purification. This allows you to create artificial environments like farms or fish farms for newly discovered species in previously uninhabitable regions.
It's the very definition of green growth,
Yeah.
economic expansion decoupled from environmental degradation.
Exactly.
So we have these four massive businesses driven by a philosophy of continuous learning and ethically managed growth. How does Docuplay organize this complex ecosystem structurally? This is where techs and PEs come in.
Right. This organizational design is the genius behind how they localize and then scale innovation. Technology-related education institutions are the foundation.
So what are they exactly?
They're small to medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, and educational centers at the most local level. Think ZIP codes, towns. They subscribe to Docuplay courses and function as local institutions of innovators.
And then the PICs.
PICs, or specialized productive clusters, they form later at higher administrative levels. They're the commercialization arm. They develop and market the specialized products that come from the intellectual output of that network of techs below them.
This structure seems explicitly designed to solve that old paradox of innovation, that you need both the frictionless flow of digital information and the physical proximity of people.
That is precisely the intention. Docuplay recognizes that while digital tech is great for super geographic networks, the PIC's real innovation still relies heavily on the benefits of in-person presence.
Which you get in the techs.
Exactly. That serendipity, the knowledge sharing that isn't written down, the rapid feedback loops you only get face-to-face, those exchanges are still irreplaceable for top-tier innovation.
What's the value exchange between a tech and a PIC? Is it just a subscription fee?
No, it's much more dynamic. The techs pay a flat fee for the content, yes, but their real value is as knowledge generators. When an innovator within a tech develops a viable idea using the system, it gets channeled up to the PICs for development and market entry.
And the benefits flow back down.
Correct. The structure ensures financial benefits reward the local techs that birthed the innovation. It creates this positive feedback loop for sustained local economic growth.
And underlying this whole system, there's an emphasis on progress being a moral endeavor.
That's the foundation of their human capital strategy. The success of this whole structure relies on what they call internalized factors of progress: a love of knowledge, a love of truth, and this persistent effort towards self-improvement and societal betterment.
So if we synthesize all of this, Docuplay is positioning its entire structure, education, research, all of it, not as some kind of auxiliary social good,
No, not at all.
but as the primary engines of prosperity.
Correct. It echoes that sophisticated analysis of the growth makers. The philosophical goal is to internalize things that are usually seen as externalities of progress.
Like the moral duty to catalog all species.
Or the cost of continuous education, yes. And turn them into managed, measurable sources of economic growth that are both transformative and sustainable.
Which brings us to our final synthesis. The whole project is built on this promise that its creative output will far outweigh any destructive disruption from automation. It's about transforming disruptive tech into sustainable progress.
And its success rests entirely on preparing human capital to quickly assimilate and leverage the benefits of AI. The gap between how fast AI emerges and our ability to use it, that's what often explains productivity stagnation.
And the techs are the mechanism for closing that gap.
They provide the systematic, structured method for it, focusing on critical thinking and creative problem solving, the skills you need to thrive alongside AI.
That framework really does give us an optimistic view of how large-scale progress can be managed. So given the accelerating speed of AI and Docuplay's emphasis on ratchet human training through these local techs, the question for us, for you, becomes, how might we ensure our own assimilation and leverage of new knowledge keeps pace? How do we prevent organizational inertia from limiting our own personal and professional productivity? That's the challenge Docuplay is solving globally, and it's one that absolutely defines our future.